Welcome to the Component 2 Section B topic, and the focus for this is mainstream and alternative media, and specifically looking at alternative and mainstream magazines. Knowledge for this part of the exam will be tested in a second exam at the end of the course that is called Component 2. It will be 2.5 hours in duration, and during that exam there'll be 3 questions, 1 on global television, 1 on mainstream and alternative magazines, and 1 on online media. For all of these topics, it's really important to keep in mind the mnemonic for the theoretical framework, and we'll be familiar with RAIL, and we know it stands for representation, audience, industry, and media language. For this topic on mainstream and alternative magazines or mainstream and alternative media, there are 2 set texts. One of them is a text called Huck magazine, and it's the March-February edition from 2016, issue 54, and it's published by a company called TCO. This is our example of alternative media. The other magazine we'll be looking at is Woman's Realm from February 1965. Of course, this is a historical magazine, and it's published by a company called IPC, and this is our example of mainstream media. The first task I would like you to do is to download the articles and content from the magazine to your own computer, and the way you can do this is to go into Teams, and on Teams you'll notice the tag across the navigation bar, and if you click through to files it will show you something like this, and you can see within those files there is content for Woman's Realm and there is content for Huck. So if you open those up and save them to your own computer, you might even want to print them off if you prefer to handwrite stuff on them, and that's up to you. And make sure you've got those. The next question that we have to face is, what do we mean by mainstream and alternative media? And of course, in order to move on, we need some sort of understanding of these concepts. Mainstream media, of course, is media generally owned by conglomerate companies. So these conglomerate companies can be horizontally integrated, meaning they own companies in the same area of the media, like a lot of different magazines. But they can also be vertically integrated as well, so they own production, distribution, and exhibition. So some of these conglomerate companies do that. They print their own magazines, they actually get them out to news agents, but they also produce their websites, and that makes them able to distribute them digitally and also control the exhibition as people log onto websites and look at them on websites, so they will be vertically integrated as well. We can also look at theory to understand mainstream organisations and mainstream texts. So David Hesmanholz's theory looks at cultural industries, which are conglomerate companies basically, and they try to minimize risk and maximize profit. They minimize risk by reselling things similar to what's already sold. So if there's a lot of fashion magazines that are selling, they will make more fashion magazines, and in doing that they will try to maximize audiences because they know there's a big audience for those. Of course, we can also think about Curran and Seaton, the idea that the media is controlled by a small number of companies. Of course, we may remember that a small number of companies controlling an industry is called an oligopoly, and they are driven by the logic of profit and power. So what they're most interested in is making money and getting power from that by taking over other companies in the media. And when you've got a understanding like that of the media, that you're interested first of all in profit, then that can be seen to limit or hold back creative thoughts or variety, or sort of the ability to offer a diverse range of media. The mainstream course is something that we've come across before, and there is transferable knowledge from the coursework that we've done. And of course, in any subject, you need to be able to transfer knowledge from one topic to another. So this concept of the mainstream isn't new, even though now we're just applying it to particular magazines. Of course, in coursework, we've looked at one of the audiences, the mainstreamers, and we've actually thought about this before, where they uphold the values of mainstream culture, and of course they will accept and view stereotypes as being normal and wanting perhaps to aspire to these, and of course support sort of mainstream audiences often celebrate the values of capitalism and consumerism. Of course, mainstream companies, mainstream magazines tend to be owned by big publishing houses, big conglomerate publishing houses. Again, transferable knowledge. We've looked at these before. So there's companies like Dennis or Condé Nast or Bauer Media or Hearst Media owning, and they're all horizontal integrated, owning a range of magazines. And we know these are conglomerate publishing houses. So it's important to understand that. Mainstream companies belong to conglomerate organisations, in this case magazines, conglomerate publishing houses as we call them. Independent companies are independent from the mainstream because they generally don't belong to conglomerate companies. They do their own thing. They are separate from them, and they may not be driven by profit and power, and this can offer them more creative freedom. So the key tasks for today, first one, a quick one, just download the materials. So you've got the magazine content on your own computer to work with. And the other one is to research TCO London. TCO London, of course, are the company that owns Huck magazine. To help you do that, I've put this on a quiz with just one question on it, but with some guidance on that question as well. And I want you to spend at least 15 minutes looking at this website, looking at what they do, getting a feel for this company and the sort of thing that they are involved with. Who do they work with? What other companies do they work with? What other things do they produce? And what is their philosophy? And that will help us as we move through this topic. Thank you.